right, so I've been joined in the studio by the PRO of the Ghana Prison Service, DSP Vitalis Aye. Did I get it right?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you. DSP Vitalis Aye, you're welcome. And then Samuel Agboche, who is a human rights lawyer, activist,
yes.
human rights activist.
Yes.
And then you are with IDEC as well.
Yes, Executive Director of IDEC Ghana. Executive
Director of IDEC Ghana. Welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
There's one key issue we've been talking about. We've been doing so much talk about it, but we've not seen any improvement. Mr. Aye, what's happening?
Thanks for having me, and good morning to your viewers. The prisons has a core mandate of keeping prisoners safe from society because they've offended.
Okay.
Again, to ensure their welfare, rehabilitation, and reformation. In the case of welfare, we should provide them with food, clothing, water to bath, and ensure that their general well-being is catered for, which the service does.
Really?
The question is, you'll be asking whether the welfare needs are sufficiently catered for. That's why we can have a debate. We can have some responses depending on where you want us to go.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are you convinced that the prison service is doing much in the welfare, in catering for the welfare of a prisoner?
No, as from a human rights point of view, we are not convinced.
Yes.
Because report shows that there are a lot of some prisoners there that are not supposed to be there in the first place.
Okay.
We have problem with adequacy and wholesomeness of food that is served.
Is it not because the prison is choked?
Well, that's another issue. If it is choked, it means that we are camping more human beings that we are supposed to be camping. And that has a health implication, except the right of the people to space and movement. That is also a serious issue that we have to look at. So we, from the human rights point of view, we are not convinced at all. We are below standard. And with international expectations, we are completely below standard.
So are you taking steps to bridge this gap? Because even locally, we know we are deficient in so many ways when it comes to our prisons and the standards, welfare, everything. Internationally, we don't even want to go there at all. But what are you doing? I'm tired of hearing the talk about government is not doing this, government is not. What are we doing to bridge that gap?
General welfare of prisoners has been a matter of concern to prison authorities lately. And the system, the service is up and doing. The service has decided that, well, one, we're talking about remands overstaying their warrants. The service has put in place a unit that will educate remand prisoners and ensure that when they are due for court, the appropriate bodies are called in. The police, the judiciary, they are prompted. This man
Who
is
do that?
The office put up in place in the prison service.
Okay, so there is an office in place.
Yes, all across the country. We have them taking care of remand. And for now, the remand situation is reducing, even with the justice for all also coming into force. Now, the prisoner is fed on 1 cedi 80 pesos a day. The service has also decided, and you are aware that that is woefully inadequate for an adult male or female to be given 60 pesos for breakfast, 60 for lunch, and 60 for supper. So the prison has also opened its doors. It was not done that you bring food from outside to give to prisoners. Today, families are advised to bring cooked food for their relatives who are in prison.
Is that not dangerous?
So the danger is there, but when you come, that food, that's why it is cooked. You have to taste it first before it's given to the prisoner, in case anything happens. So it is wholesome, and we also have to ensure that the food we have brought is wholesome for the consumption.
Are you not worried about that, Samuel?
Yeah, absolutely. These are means where people transport all kinds of, even weapon. People put weapon into food. They put drugs and all kinds of things into food and smuggle them through the food to the prisoners. So, I mean, bringing food from outside, as he said, completely out of it should be completely out of order. The welfare, the food, the provision of a place to sleep, toiletries, all those things are responsibilities of the Director General of Prison Service to ensure that the prisoners are provided with orders. And if that is not happening, and then we have to call on families and so on and so forth, that is, families can help, but what security measures have you put in place to ensure that, apart from the food being wholesome, of course, if it is coming from home,
it should be wholesome.
Home chew should be better than what is prepared in the prisons. But what about what I've mentioned earlier? Food becomes means when these illicit drugs and weapons are transported to the prisons.
All right. I've also been joined, before I come back to you, I've been joined on the telephone line by my colleague, Seth Kwame Boateng, who has gone to about 5 prisons, or 4 prisons across the country to check the state of the prisons. And he has joined us to give us some details. Hello, Seth.
Hello, Martha.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sure you've been listening in on the conversation. What can you tell us about the state of Ghana's prisons? What did you see?
As you said, I've been to 5 prisons. The first one was Nago Central Prisons, where the PRF himself was there. Then I've been to Tamale, Kumasi, and our prisons are overcrowded. Very, very. And it's because we have a number of remand prisoners whose cases have not been determined yet. They don't know their fate. Some have been in for 6, 7, 8, 9 years. They don't know when they will be tried or when they will go home. And these remand prisoners have occupied a greater part of our prisons. That is what has resulted in the congestion we have in our prisons. The way out again is to congest the area by trying the cases of the remand prisoners as soon as possible, Martha.
Yeah. Okay, so you visited different parts of the prison, I'm sure. Did you visit the infirmaries of the prisons?
Yes, in all with the exception of the Navrongo prison, the 4 that I visited 2 weeks and last week, I got the chance to see the infirmaries. And these infirmaries can handle minor cases. Major cases are referred to the nearest government hospital. And if it's difficult that the nearest hospital can't take care of that person, then the person is transferred to a regional hospital. And Martha, the infirmaries lack almost everything. Almost everything. Drugs for the inmates. Look at the population, for example, in Kumasi, over 2,000 inmates, with about 700 of them being remand prisoners. And that small infirmary there is supposed to take care of these numbers. You understand? And the officers as well, because the officers, because of their interaction and their meetings with these inmates, also contract some diseases. The PR will confirm. Some I can talk of have had tuberculosis, chickenpox, measles, a whole lot, because there are various forms of ailments in our prisons. So the officers also contract. So these infirmaries are also supposed to cater for these officers and their families, Martha. So it's a serious issue. You go to some, for example, the officer in charge told me they are compelled to run shifts. For example, Monday they will look at those in block A and B. Tomorrow they will look at those in block C and D. If you are in block E and your time of appointment will be on Friday and your disease is an emergency one, they would have to bring you in because yours is an emergency case for them to take care of you. If they can't, then you are referred to the nearest hospital, Martha. Do
you have a doctor, a medical, professionally trained person manning these facilities?
Yeah, I cannot talk of doctors, but there are well-trained nurses there. I remember in my interview with the Director General of the Prison Service last Friday, she told me doctors shy away from coming to the prisons. They are not comfortable working with them, so they've made several appeals to authorities in charge to push doctors to them, but they have refused. So they are now trying to work out something to get doctors to join them in the prisons to work. The conditions there make it unattractive for doctors to join them, Martha.
All right. So doctors refuse posting to the prisons. That's it.
Exactly.
So you don't have anyone there for all the number of people who are there, some for wrongfully finding their way there. They still don't have access to healthcare, or proper healthcare, I should put it.
As I said, the infirmaries can tackle minor cases. Major cases are referred to the nearest hospital. So I remember the officers, they told me they do their best. They try always to give them the best they can, and if it's difficult, then they transfer them to the nearest hospital.
Thank you very much, Seth Kwamboateng. And back to the studio. Doctors don't want to come there because the prison officials also use the same facility.
Yeah, I think
you share it.
Seth put it very well there. That's apart from the air they breathe is the same air we breathe.
Okay.
So if there are communicable diseases, we're equally prone to it.
And the leading one is TB.
TB is there. You can't take away TB from a place that is congested.
Okay.
So if TB is there, officers contract TB as well. They get it. So it's not about just only the prisoners. As he said, we use same facilities for ourselves and our families, but they're not adequately furnished. So we don't have a single medical doctor across the length and breadth of this country in prisons.
So aren't you worried? I guess you should be worried by now. Access to health care.
I am so sad and devastated because I think the prison board, the medical, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the director, is that the director of one of the medical diseases, is supposed to be a member of the board, right?
Yes, the Prison Service Council. We don't have somebody from there. Ghana Medical Association representing somebody from there. Chieftaincy institutions representing.
Ghana Medical Association is on your council.
Yes, we have people like that. So they advise on the issues of prisons.
Yeah, so the question is, for all this while, what have we been doing?
Why maintain a representative on your council when they refuse posting to the prisons to take care of the people?
I mean, we saw it that the way people shy away from prisons is because conditions are not good for them. Maybe if the prison conditions are taken care of, the package is good for, doctors. The man is looking for money. That's the number one thing. If you can pay him well and give him tools to work with, he will be there. But if a doctor comes to the prisons and there's nothing to work with, I don't think he can practice.
And so we will be making efforts to get the Ghana Medical Association to tell us why they refuse posting or work in the prison service, because you need, it's a community on its own that needs all the basic facilities. The fact that someone is serving a term in the prison doesn't mean the person should be denied of some of these basic things, because it's part of their welfare that they are supposed to get.
Of course, it is what, I mean, is the person is restricted, his movement is restricted. But apart from that, all the basic human rights is intact. Access to food, good health, access to even representation, access to lawyer, access to the courts, all those rights are intact. It's only that his movement has been restricted by virtue of the crime he has committed. But going beyond the prisoners, what about the prison officers themselves and the family? Has their right also been restricted?
No.
Should they also be denied their basic right to health care, and so on, because they are living with prisoners? No. I don't understand why a doctor who is on the government payroll should refuse going to the prison to serve the prison, both the prisoners and the prison officers. I don't understand.
Doesn't make sense.
You don't need any extra salary or any other motivation to go there and work. The prisons are just like any ordinary community in Ghana.
Of course.
Therefore, it is a responsibility of the Ghana Medical Association or the government to ensure that all prison communities in Ghana are provided with the necessary facilities and a doctor of that, of course, to save the right of the people to adequate health care. And if this is not being done, then it's completely unacceptable.
I would recommend that you take off whoever is representing the Ghana Medical Association on your council. It's not necessary.
Well, I don't compose the council.
I know, I know.
But
it goes beyond.
It's not only medical that is represented. There are other issues.
Yes.
Let me just draw the attention of viewers to something. An officer's wife, 3 months ago, fell sick. She was rushed to Nsawam Government Hospital.
Okay.
There was no bed. To Police Hospital, no bed. La General Hospital, no bed. Rich, she died at 37 upon arrival.
Wow.
So
how many hospitals?
That is the picture. Let's look at the larger picture. The bigger picture. I mean, I'm sitting here as a prison officer. If I take off my uniform,
you
meet me.
Ghanaian.
I'm a Ghanaian like you. So if I work there and the conditions are not good for the inmates and not good for us, if I'm a ball of germs walking around, I eat with you, I'm spreading. I have my wife and my kids who attend public functions, attend public schools. So it's a bigger picture. Let's look at it from that angle. And we shouldn't just think, as I've always maintained, that the prisons, people are sent to prisons actually as a punishment and not to be punished. As you rightly put it, they are in there already. Their liberty has been taken away. That is sufficient punishment. The rest shouldn't be added onto them. So anything we can do as a nation to improve upon the conditions in our prisons, we have to do it. Because Mandela said somewhere that a country or nation is judged in its development based on the way it treats its vulnerable groups. And that includes prisoners, women and children. So if we are touting ourselves of being a democratic country for this number of years, and people come in and our prisons are so bad, the report is no good, that is very negative PR for the state, not for prison officers. I sit here as a prison officer, I work based on the tools you have given to me to work with. So if they are good, why not? I'm compelled to, because I've sworn an oath. The medical doctor is not compelled. He has other options. So he can choose to go to a place that is paying him better.
You know, when you mentioned a prison officer's wife, then it crossed my mind that once it's a prison officer's wife, it's just another Ghanaian. If it had been an important person who was transferred from where? How many hospitals? Like four. And died at a fifth one, then it will be news. Then everybody will know about it and everybody will start talking about it. But it's another prison officer's wife, so it is normal. It's
so she's also a prisoner.
So she's also a prisoner?
She should also be treated as a prisoner.
No.
If the prison is a community, let's look at it holistically. That anything we're providing should cater for all those even working there. People visit the prisons on a daily basis. They visit their relations and go back home. If they contract anything, why? They can pick it from there.
It home.
So let's make it wholesome. Because you never can tell who comes in and takes what out.
Why do you think it's difficult to make the prison a wholesome place? Is it because our mentality is that they have been incarcerated, they have been punished, let them be there, let them suffer the consequence? Why is it difficult?
That is one thing. In Ghana, people believe in their name. They believe that the family name is something I should cherish. When they jail you from my family, we have nothing to do with you. One, people don't want to associate with prisons, which is bad. They stigmatize anybody who comes to prison, that you are a bad person. But they forget there's not everybody who is in prison that is supposed to be there. Some were wrongly accused, some didn't even have the proper legal representation
in court,
and others, just some small mistake they made, which you and I have made, and we're free sitting here talking. I've landed them in jail. So we should have this mentality as Ghanaians that the prison is like an accident ward. Anybody can be there at any time. So we shouldn't just say, well, they have offended the laws, they should suffer it, by denying them what they're supposed to have as human beings. That is wrong. And that can affect us negatively as a nation.
Samuel, what do you think is informing this perception that we don't want to help the prisons? So they properly rehabilitate people and not punish them further?
Just as he said, the old school mentality. I mean, I call it old school mentality because we have moved away. We are moving away from the punishment mentality to reformation mentality, where people should be reformed. You know, everybody is entitled to a second chance. I am one of those who preaches second chance. Everybody is entitled. You could be wrong, I could be wrong at any time. If I found myself in prison tomorrow, does it mean that I'm less of a human being than you? The only thing is that I am taking the lead. You might follow tomorrow. You understand? So all of us are prone to crime. All of us are prone to crime. But when somebody is wrong, doesn't mean that the person is finished. That is why, as human rights people, some of us are against even the death penalty. The fact that you have committed a crime doesn't mean that you should also your life. No, you can repent. And then evidence shows that there are a lot of people, at least few of them, who have reformed genuinely from the prisons and they are doing very well out of prison. And these people could serve as role model to others. Why are we still thinking that prisons should be condemned places for people who have committed crime?
Shouldn't be. You
know, sometimes some people end up being in the prison not because they themselves wanted to commit a crime. They have wrongly joined groups and associations that end them over there. Those people should be given opportunity to reform and come back and continue life as you and I. The government and the state institutions need to put in more effort into reformation. Social reformation, economic empowerment, adherence to the provision, meeting their rights and freedom. You see, we need to meet this expectation so that people can genuinely say that, oh, when I'm coming from prison, I should be reformed. You know, people are not reforming because
they come out hardened.
No, we made them hardened at the prison. The situation at the prison made them hardened. You see, made them harden, and they come out very angry.
They feel society has not been fair to them.
Down. They come out very angry, and they want to vent their anger on us by going back to crime.
I see.
And society too is very, very unfair to people who have committed crime. Once the person has committed crime, we label the person as criminal forever. You know, when you sin, I sin, we go to Christ, we go to church, and we ask for forgiveness. Does Christ label us as sinners forever?
No, after forgiveness, we are new creations.
Why wouldn't we be able to treat prisoners that way? To say that, oh, you have reformed genuinely, and you are back, society will accept you. Provide them with whatever it is that will make them reform. But what do we do? At home, when the prisoners return home, when we are going out, they say, oh, Kwabena is back, oh, please remember to lock all your doors and keep your keys. Kwabena is around.
I see.
But genuinely,
so they don't feel accepted. They don't feel welcome.
They say, if this is how you're going to treat me when I, within myself, genuinely believe that I've reformed, then let me go back to the crime and go back to the prisons where he's a king.
Okay.
In the prison, he's a king. He's reverend. He's well respected at the prison by his other prisoners. You know, so this is the concept of the recidivism. The people come back, we don't treat them well, and they go back to commit crime. So it's a whole mentality that
it's a cycle, I think.
We have to change.
So when they are coming out, do you do some kind of counseling for them? Do you recommend that they do counseling for them?
Yeah, and the Ghana Prison Service, as I said earlier, has a mandate of safe custody, welfare, reformation, and rehabilitation. Beyond that, reintegration, resettlement is for another group of people that should take care of this thing. Is that group functioning? We have to find out.
Where is that group? I've not heard of it before.
What group is that?
I want to know.
Social welfare.
Social welfare.
Yes. That is the duty.
That's one.
Yes.
I see.
So they should ensure that prisoners are well reintegrated and resettled. And it means that before they leave the prisons, maybe 3 months before they leave, there should be an interaction with them.
Okay.
What brought you in? When you get out, what were you doing?
But are you not supposed to be working on that throughout the prisoner's stay in prison?
We do that. For example, we are supposed to reform and rehabilitate.
Okay.
Here is the gap again. You teach somebody to become a mechanic, a mason, and at the end of the day, you don't supply him with tools to go and work with.
Okay.
He has acquired the skill. That is fine.
He does not have the tools.
But he has not got the startup capital. You see? So, as a service, we think that that gap should be filled. And we are not given the opportunity to fill that gap. So we appeal to NGOs and philanthropic bodies to come fill this gap. Okay. Of course, people are coming, but it's not wholesome.
Isn't it a government institution that is failing? It's a state institution that is mandated to do this.
That is where Ghanaians need to understand that the prisons are for all of us. They're a public institution. Anybody can be there. In fact, they come back reformed, it's to the good of Ghana. If they come back worse off, we are all going to face it.
I learned you have a very wonderful choir there. When they sing,
it's not only a choir, we have almost everybody.
Will come
in fact,
down.
The prison is a miniature world. You find every kind of person in there. Journalists are there, doctors are there, lawyers are there, priests are there, bishops are there. Everybody is there.
Okay.
And they have their expertise. People with PhD are in the prisons, and they're imparting knowledge to their colleagues.
Okay.
Another issue is somebody gets his BCE, SSCE, he gets distinction. He comes out and he cannot be employed. Or somebody was even working.
Because of
he commits an offense. It could be an accident. He goes to prison and comes back. He's disqualified from assuming any public office. What do we do as a nation to change some of these laws that are old?
So you recommend the change of some old-fashioned laws?
We have done that already.
We can reintegrate our
yes, we have done that. It's you know, the bureaucracy is in there. In the pipeline, Attorney General's Department that will go to Parliament before some of these changes are made. It doesn't just take a day. But we have done that. But we need to set up. That's why the last time we met at JIMPA, stakeholders met at JIMPA, they were considering non-custodial sentences.
Of course. That's one.
Because, I mean, sometimes some of the things that bring people to prison, when you look at it, it's like, why should somebody come to prison for
still plantain, you go and serve a term?
Or somebody goes to report you that you threatened to beat me up,
and you are
in prison.
Then you go and learn how to actually beat him up. You come back and then you beat him up. So human rights angle, when there's a clause that you can't do this, you can't do that because you have been to prison and back, don't you get worried about that? Because I feel there are people who are in positions and are committing more serious crimes. And they are still there because nobody has found them to send them to prison. Someone goes, reforms, comes back, and you can't do this, you can't do that when they are qualified because they've been to prison.
Yeah, of course, we cannot make the law too open. Because that will also serve as a demotivating factor that you can commit any crime at all, go to prison and still come back and become president or ministers and so on. We cannot agree to that. There should be some kind of limitation as to what you can do with your crime. And we also don't want laws to motivate people to go committing crime because the law is too flexible. But what we're saying is that should a person be completely banned from going to look for a job, not only in the government sector, even in the private sector, the person comes back from a prison. Once the authorities that are supposed to employ the person hears that the person has been to prison before, that ends the person's opportunity.
The search for a job.
Even if you are a PhD holder,
no one
should the knowledge of the person be wasted because he has been to prison? This person could still teach at institutions. See, so treating people the way we are treating prisoners, both in prison and out of prison, is not fair at all. Unfortunately for us, it is only when high-profile persons, politicians and journalists as yourself, gone to prison, when they come back, they make a whole lot of noise.
Because they've experienced it.
Yes, they've experienced it. The prison needs reform and so on. The fire is there.
Dies down.
Then within a month or two, then he dies down. Then he's gone back to. See, so I was thinking that those were the time that we should sustain the advocacy to ensure that we have prison reforms. Maybe journalists, you have to do more. You have to do more, bring more people on board. Let's put kind of pressure on people who matters, in this case, to ensure that our prisons are reformed. As I said earlier, those who are there are just taking the lead. Tomorrow it might be you and I who will be there. So maybe we should pray that we have high-profile cases and journalists.
Yes, that was what I was going to say. When they go and experience it, they will talk about it better. They know how to put it. For more they talk about it. But something that you said that I thought you could harness is the qualifications you have in the prisons. So they can do so much more. They are not locked up. Even if their rights, some rights have been taken away of movement and everything, they are in the community. They can impart the knowledge they have on people. How do you harness that one? Do you do that?
We do that. We do that. As I speak to you now, we have SHS and GSH across the country. Non-formal, formal, vocational skills being imparted into prisoners. Prison officers, some are skilled. That's why they were recruited. And we have prisoners themselves who have gotten these qualifications because they fall foul of the law. They find themselves in prison. And they devote all their time in helping the unfortunate brothers in prison. So you can imagine 24/7, they're in the classroom. That's why when they sit their exams, it's bam.
Yeah, it's bam. I like that.
But the issue is, again, if the man is supposed to be serving, say, 7 years, he's done the 3-year program, he's supposed to be in the university. What happens? He's not yet served his term, he can't go. Again, the system is trying to liaise with universities that have distant programs, which is extended to them in prison. All of this said, what is the motivator? If I'll come out with a degree from prison and people say, this is an ex-convict, he can't get a job. It's a demotivator. So let's do something about it.
And I'm sure the people who talk about it will be family. Yes,
and I've always said, those prisoners who have come out and have reformed so well, their families played a very crucial role. The community played a very crucial role in going to their aid, coming to visit them on a daily basis or once in a while, and assuring them that, hey, all is not lost. When you come back, there's a shoulder for you to lean on.
There for you.
And he comes out, we have a number of them, quite a number. And those who find themselves back, they're the ones they say, hey, that's an ex-convict, stigmatized. Don't let him get close. People saying they start running away.
I see.
And that is key. It is very key. If you don't accept them, you don't give them a shoulder to lean on, where should they go?
Where should they go?
It is hard and it is tough. One of the areas prisoners find tough is when they're about going home. They are distressed. Will I be accepted?
Yes.
Will I not be accepted? It gives them a lot more to think about.
And that's why the social welfare.
Yes, we as a nation. Yes, we should be able to take off this thing. If that is taken away, in some parts of the world, they have what they call halfway homes. Halfway your turn, you are sent into that home. You take part in community-based activities. If they are building, if they are cleaning, you are a part of them. They see you. If it is like 3 months before you reintegrate, by the time you are done with your tenure, they are used to you, and you are not more a threat to anybody. We don't have any of those things here. So we need a whole lot of reforms.
Way to go.
I mean, for me, I disagree that they should jail more journalists and they can. When they come, 1 week, 2 weeks,
they'll make noise for a week and then they go back.
The reforms are absolutely,
the structures
are in place. And then you come into prisons, you know, after a number of years, you are coming out as this, and you can be here, you can be there. Let's work on the structures.
All right,
let me add this. If we can, just as he said, if we can bridge the gap between the community and the prison service, assuming somebody with a PhD background or a teacher that is in prison is allowed to come and teach outside the prison, and he goes back to the prison. Do you think that if this interaction is encouraged, if the person is released from prison,
he won't have challenges at all?
He will not have challenges at all. This is a medical doctor that has been jailed for crime he has committed. Can we allow this person?
It doesn't take away his skills.
His skills. It does not. And here's the case. We are complaining of lack of doctors. Doctors are not enough.
But
and then
the
few one that has committed crime has been jailed and locked up there, both physically and their knowledge. Can we facilitate their interaction with the community by coming to practice at the hospital for a number of hours and go back to the prison? So if this person is released from prison, he wouldn't have difficulty interacting and be accepted by the community.
I see.
It's about time. You see, sometimes we are too lazy to go by the convention. The person is in prison, period.
It's a lazy way out.
We are very lazy. Even at court, the prosecutor who is on the case, this person has been sent to remand. Do you have to follow up to see if the person is coming to court? Is it the duty of the judge to remind that this person that have...
and that's why I was asking, who do you prompt if it's your time to go to court?
To go to court. You see, so the whole system is junked and people are just sitting down because prisoners must be prisoners and period.
Prisoners must be prisoners and period. All right, thank you so much. I have been joined in the studio by DSP Vitalis Aye. I got it right, Aye. And then Samuel Agbecha, who is a human rights activist. And we've been talking about the state of Ghana's prisons and what we can do to make it better. Thank you for joining us. We'll come back with more.